I forgot how beautiful phones used to be. The Galaxy S7 Edge is now 10 years old, which sounds wrong because honestly, it doesn't feel like it. It looks insane, almost too good, and it makes me feel nostalgic. And that's the problem, I don't know if this phone was practical or it was just a big flex. So I'm actually gonna use this phone to see if it was really ahead of its time, or was it just good at looking like it was. This started in 2014, one curved screen on one side, the Galaxy Note Edge, which was a pretty strange looking phone. Then Samsung thought, what if the entire screen was curved? So then next year, they made the Galaxy S6 Edge, which had an entirely curved or edged screen. But we're gonna ignore that phone because today we have the S7 Edge. It's extremely pretty and full of personality, unlike modern phones. But just because it was pretty, it doesn't mean it was a good idea. Because straight away, those reflections are crazy. You can see your Christmas past, present, and the future all at the same time. Which is funny because now Samsung uses a completely flat display with an anti-reflective coating, a complete opposite approach to this. This is a phone that you pick up and just admire. It looked good on billboards, it looked good in ads. But in practical use, it was pretty pointless because why does a screen need to be curved? It's not just fragile, it's also in constant danger because what do you think would happen if you dropped this phone?
I would collapse.
No, you would say.
While I was taking a massive dump, I decided to entertain myself with this 5.5-inch curved toy. I cannot go more than 5 minutes without any dopamine, so I was truly shocked to see that Instagram works on this phone even though AI said I need Android 9. Using this phone was kind of interesting because I completely forgot that there's a back button and a physical home button and even the app switch button. And the home button actually acted as a fingerprint scanner, which obviously is not as good as the fingerprint scanners that you get in this screen now, but they had the right idea. My dopamine app was ready, and you know what? If you wanted to scroll Instagram all day on this phone, you actually could because it wasn't so bad. It did have occasional lags, but it was fine. I'm pretty sure I went to bed with 100%, woke up with like 75%. I scrolled for like 10 minutes, and then, bro, how was it on 62%? Yeah. The battery is not going to be amazing after 10 years. This is the last year that Samsung used micro USB. Those old and crappy chargers that only went in one way, after you have flipped it like 26 times. Bro, they gave me the shortest cable possible. What is this? So let's plug it in and see how much it charges in 15 minutes while I go and make my breakfast. Okay, it's been 15 minutes and we went up by 17%. That's not bad actually. The phone only charges at 15 watts and it has a pretty tiny battery in comparison, but back then people actually had lives and TikTok wasn't even a thing, so people didn't really need anything crazy back then. Which then reminded me that this phone actually had wireless charging, which is pretty crazy when you think about the iPhone 6s. That phone was such a noob in comparison to this. And before I eat, I need to make sure I have some entertainment because if I can't watch YouTube on this thing, then what's the point of eating? And again, to my surprise, YouTube was actually pre-installed and worked perfectly fine. And what's even cooler is that this is a 1440p AMOLED screen, which to this day looks insane. You can even set the YouTube videos to run at 1440p and they look absolutely delicious. Like I actually want to take a bite out of this phone because it looks like a piece of cake. It was then time to go to the gym and luckily I could download Spotify so that I could listen to some music. Imagine if I couldn't download it, what would I even do there? Work out? But then I remember that I can't even use Spotify because the membership is now £13. What? So instead, I downloaded YouTube Music, which requires YouTube Premium subscription, which happens to be the same price as Spotify. But now at least I don't get any ads on YouTube, which is especially useful when you have an ad blocker. Going outside was also the perfect opportunity to test this tiny little camera. It feels a little weird not having an ultra wide or a zoom camera, so now I can't zoom into pigeons or get these funny angles. The main camera can actually record at 4K, and although the stabilization is absolute horse breath. If you stand still, this could actually pass as a camera. The selfie camera actually records in 4040p, which is kind of crazy. And speaking of that selfie camera, it made my 120kg fly up like paper, and the quality is actually good enough to post on social media. Still, and you know what? After carrying both of these phones all day, at some point I actually started to lean towards taking this phone out my pocket because it was so incredibly thin and light compared to this massive monster. I tried downloading Samsung Pay to see if I can pay with a 10-year-old phone. And call me stupid in the comments, but I could not log in into my account. Every time I pressed verify, it just loaded and did nothing. And Google Wallet just straight up refused to associate with this piece of fossil. So I guess this phone isn't all sunshines and rainbows because it's actually starting to show its age. For example, Google Maps was actually kind of slow and it's actually annoying to use from all the lagging. And there's also apps like the Google Keep which just refuse to download, and there's probably a lot more. Now I think Jesus Christ has come down and crafted this phone himself, because last year when I tested the Galaxy S6, it was the laggiest experience I have ever experienced in my experience. Apps took ages to open, the scrolling lagged, and Google Maps was basically unusable. But then only a year later, Samsung made their phone so much faster. In fact, when I was on the train, I saw a comment where someone told me to play COD Mobile on this phone. So obviously I downloaded it and I spent the next 3 years updating this game. Like seriously, I could have taken the train all the way to Samsung HQ in South Korea and back, and there would still be another update on this game. But when it finally loaded, it actually ran pretty decently. How did the devs even optimize this so well? Because on PC, I swear you need like a $2,000 graphics card just to run anything these days. In fact, this is only a tiny bit slower than the newest Snapdragon, so I don't really see the point of upgrading. Also, the battery is like 40% bigger than last year. They added back the micro SD card because apparently they removed it on the Galaxy S6 11 years ago. What? But then in 2021 they removed it again. Did people not complain enough the second time? What happened? Anyway, this is what the S6 should have been in the first place, an actual S-tier phone. Back then, this completely embarrassed Apple because the iPhone 6s did not have this cool ass curved screen. It was like half the resolution, it was not AMOLED, it was like half the battery, did not have always on display, it did not have micro SD card. It was actually such a noob phone. I don't see why on earth would anyone get an iPhone in 2016. But now, what is Samsung even doing? Folding phones in half? Reusing the same camera sensors from like the 1800s? Being absolutely slam dunked by the Chinese phones with their massive 1-inch sensors? And somehow the S25 Ultra manages to feel like a mid-ranger compared to everything else out there because there's just nothing exciting about it. In fact, the S7 Edge was so cool that it even had a Batman edition with a bat logo on the back with gold accents on the home button and the front speaker. And then the S25 Ultra is just a white square that manages to be less interesting than a roll of toilet paper. And yeah, they're doing all this cool stuff with foldables, but the actual Galaxy S series are just boring now. But then ever since the S20, Samsung is just on autopilot, just passive income, copy pasting their phones. And in the end, I'm glad they removed the edges because after a while, no one really cared about them. But at least it was fun and exciting, and this phone was not made to be used, it was made to be admired, which is exactly why I picked it up.